I went back to work after having my third child. So I've always been a working mom, by the way. So when I went to work, I've given quite stressful accounts, high amount clients. And then I started to fall sick very often. So I was very stressed. After coming to work, I started falling sick almost every month. And then I sort of worked through it. I ignored it. And then it's gotten worse. There was one day when I was like walking back to my bedroom and then like my legs just gave way. Like I just, fall to the ground. And then I started crying uncontrollably for no reason. And I just lost my sense of control of my body, my senses, and like my soul just left my body.
It sounded like you was to a point where your body wasn't even able to function. And how was it like when the first time your husband got to know all this? And when was that? And how did your husband react to that?
When I called that hotline, that was about 2 a.m. So after I put down the phone, it was like 3 a.m. I don't know why. He saw me. He came down. Somehow he woke up from his sleep. He saw me like in my most distraught state. Most of my clients are stuck. And they're just not happy where they are, but they want to do something different. So that's the kind of client that I people who are looking for a drastic shift or a clear direction. The main limiting belief I see is that it's simply fear of failure. They have an idea actually of what they want. They are scared of the uncertainty. Naturally, we can't predict the future, and so there is a fear of making the wrong decision. And because of that fear of making the wrong decision, they end up not making a decision.
Like when you talk about bidding for contracts, for example, some of these clients, they don't end up making a decision because they're scared that to make that decision that will be wrong for the company.
Yeah.
And then they get impacted, right, because of the wrong decision.
Correct.
So
not doing nothing.
So for them, doing nothing is safer than doing something.
Yeah.
So I was smiling to that. And for those of these people who are feeling stuck or burnout or they feel like they're lost, and sometimes they're buried under so much obligation or all these feelings of being burnt out and lost. What do you say to them? How do you help them to reconnect with their strengths? Hi there. Thank you for being here with On My Own Terms. It's a podcast for the bold, the curious, and those at the crossroads of career and life. Would share it with a friend who needs to watch or hear this too. Do not forget to subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Spotify, our socials, and wherever you're watching or listening this from. And if you're on your own journey of change, come check out the link in this episode description or show notes. That's where the free resources, newsletter, and stories live. Real change comes from taking action. Now, back to the episode. Hey, my name is John, and welcome to On My Own Terms podcast. I've worn many hats across the years, from banker to entrepreneur to tech and e-commerce leader, and I've taken some unconventional turns along the way. This podcast is where I speak with people who have done the same. You will hear raw, honest conversations with career changers, risk-takers, and bold builders who have chosen to craft their careers and lives differently. You'll hear inspiring stories, gain perspectives, and learn mental frameworks and actionable lessons. If you're looking to grow, pivot, or are currently at a crossroads, this podcast is for you. Let's get into today's episode. And today's guest, we have Shu Yi, a Gallup Certified coach and founder of the Strengths Co., where she helps individuals and teams discover and thrive in their natural strengths. Shu Yi started her career in the corporate world before making a bold pivot into coaching and entrepreneurship, driven by a deep desire to help others to find clarity, confidence, and alignment in their work and lives. Since then, she has worked with hundreds of professionals across industries, guiding them through career transitions, leadership growth, and self-discovery. In this conversation, amongst many things, we'll dive into our own journey of change, the power and the why behind strengths-based development, and we'll get our thoughts on how AI will impact work, career, and personal development. So welcome to the first ever in-person recording of the podcast, Shu Yi.
John.
So for context for the audience, you've been watching, if this is not the first time you are here, we've always done remote recording. This is the first time we do it in person. And this suggestion and this place recommendation is actually from Shu Yi. So thanks for this. I will maybe tell a bit more about what you do to the audience first.
Yeah, so I founded my own coaching practice called the Strengths Co. And what I do is helping people find work that energizes them and play to their strengths. And I do that through two means. One, private coaching on a one-to-one basis. And we work with mid-career professionals who are at the crossroads of their career, looking to move to something that lights them up, a career that's more purposeful and meaningful. And another way we do that is through corporates as well. So we do strengths-based workshops for teams, so that in the team setting, you know how to leverage one another's strengths, right? To be able to have a more productive relationship with one another and be able to like achieve high performance. So yeah, these are the two areas that I work on.
And also for context, we met in school.
Yes, yeah.
20 years ago?
Yeah.
20 years ago?
2009.
2005.
No, sorry,
Yeah.
2009.
Let's not reveal our age, but yeah, we met about 20 years ago in school,
Yeah.
in SMU. And I think we recently connected last year when I went for one of the sessions you had. It was with one of the, I think, association, where you led a more like a career workshop for the professionals there.
Yeah.
So I think we reconnected. A funny story, I saw your name when I signed up for the event, but I wasn't sure it was you. I thought the name sounded familiar. Then I know it's there. When I went for the event, I saw it was you, and it was nice. And I think you didn't know that I started a career kind of focus kind of podcast like this.
I didn't know.
Yeah. And then that was where we find a lot of topics that we have in mind, we have a connection with.
Yes.
Maybe before you started the Strengths Co, what do you do in the corporate world?
Yeah, I just came from technology background. So because I studied information systems when I was in SMU, right, back in the day. And so I've been in corporate in technology for 15 years. So first half of my career was in technology consulting with Accenture. And then after that, I did change management in one of the global banks. And then in Salesforce, I did pre-sales, selling software. So pretty much very different from what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and that's what I find very interesting, because I didn't do any IT back in school, in uni, and then I found myself being in the tech world. And then you came up from the tech world to do this. And I just want to ask what prompted this career change for you? And at what point in time do you know that it was the time for change?
Yeah. So it's quite a personal story actually. So for me, it started maybe about 2021, like slightly when we were coming out of COVID. And after I went back to work after having my third child. So I've always been a working mom, by the way. So when I went back to work, I've given quite stressful accounts. So big amount clients, high amount clients. And so and then I started to fall sick very often. So I was very stressed. After coming to work, I started falling sick almost every month. And then I sort of like worked through it. I ignored it. And then it sort of like gotten worse. There was one day when I was like walking back to my bedroom, and then like my legs just gave way. Like I just fall to the ground. And then I started crying uncontrollably for like no reason. But I just lost my sense of like control of my body, my senses, and like my soul just left my body, like almost. It felt that way. And I can say this now without getting emotional, but it was super hard for me back then. And I as I look back now, it almost felt like the body was giving signals that, hey, you're pushing too hard, But then I ignored it. And then it gave me this signal to say that, hey, you just gotta like do something about it. So that particular day helped me, made me stop to think that I need to make changes to the way I was working. And perhaps the pace in tech did not suit me in my current season of life right now. My particular job.
Where was this again? Sorry.
About 2021.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Late 2021.
It sounded like you was to a point where your body wasn't even able to function.
Correct. And I think it was both not just physical, but also mentally. And that's why I started the emotions, right? I started just letting out. It was just a lot of pent up emotions I was just like casting aside.
Were there other signals or signs before this sort of complete meltdown for you?
I started retreating from like social events, like even like team building events, social functions. Those were signs as well. I started to like just not find an excuse not to turn up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, because I have family and all that. But I think deep down, I just was starting to recluse and just prefer to keep to myself. So it was a very super hard period. All these was signs. It's just that I didn't think it was. But now in hindsight, I look back, oh, actually, They were just signs of that. I was just not happy though. Yeah.
Why do you not realize that it was a time to change when you encountered the earlier signals and signs? Why did that big aha moment only occur at the end when there was a complete meltdown?
Yeah, because it was where I really lost control of my body. It was too grave already. And going even further, I couldn't even tell my husband about it. So I even called this hotline. Back then it was offered as a benefit for
Corporate employees.
corporate, right? To like call a counseling hotline because I didn't know who to talk to, and I was like, I just don't know what I want to do. I'm like, I'm at the end of my line here. I don't know what to do. So it's almost like as if like the whatever that was controlling me, or like my self control was just lost. Really, it's just like I just was at the end of like my tolerance level. And I was this point where I was just at the cliff, not knowing where do I go next? Like, do I need therapy? Do I need a coach or what? I just don't know how to move forward from this state that I was in, right? That's just broken.
But you had to tell your family, right? I mean, you could not tell your family, right, when they saw you breaking down like that. And how was it like when the first time your husband got to know all this? And when was that? And how did your husband react to that?
No, when I called that hotline, that was about 2 a.m. So after I put down the phone, it was like 3 a.m. I don't know why he saw me. He came down, somehow he woke up from his sleep. He saw me like in my most like distraught state. And then that's where he didn't know how to react to me also. I just knew that he knew what I was going through, but we didn't say much. And perhaps he's a man of few words as well. I sought professional help after that. Let's put it that way. My husband didn't know how to handle the emotional abuse, so I sought professional help. I actually went for therapy. It took me about finding the right therapist. Also, is something I also encourage people to do, is to actually untangle all these emotions that was like built up for a while. So I actually went to 3 different therapists to actually find the right one. And it was the first session was like a breakthrough, a half a moment for me to like clear all these trauma that was happening. So yeah, it took about maybe 3-4 sessions with a therapist to like fully for me to like clear this mental fog and physical fog as well that was built up over time now.
Yeah, I was just this morning. I just saw your LinkedIn post about therapy and seeking help therapists. Yeah, I think if we have time later on, we go into this, and I just want to work on or ask you more about the pivot, right?
Yeah.
From that state where you wanted most down, where you didn't tell your husband, your partner in life about the situation that you were in.
Yeah.
And then to then starting and founding the Strengths Group. So tell us some of the highlights and lowlights from this journey, from that lowest point or one of the lowest points in your life to starting a brand new company.
Correct. Thanks for asking that. So after I went through therapy, I sort of like gotten my mental state to like a baseline healthy state, because it was pretty unhealthy at first. So that took maybe a period of like 4 to 6 months almost. And then after that, it got me started on like the next 18 months of self-discovery, where I started to be curious on, okay, if I'm not going to be in pre-sales, then what next? But so I was gearing towards a lot of like personal development. So I went for like different facilitation courses. I started to read books. I started to also show up on LinkedIn. I started to somehow write my true thoughts on LinkedIn. Like, it's just expression. I started to express myself a bit more.
Why? Were you hoping to get a new job? Why appear more on LinkedIn?
It was more a self-expression, to be honest. I felt that in tech, I always felt I was to portray a certain image to be the competent advisor on a particular software solution, which is fine, that's my job and that's what I'm good at. But I find that there was a part of me that was suppressed, which was the personal expression, about self-expression. How can I be creative? How do I speak about personal growth? And I think there's a deep part of me that was desired that, but I couldn't find an avenue to express that.
I mean, there's Facebook, there's Instagram.
But LinkedIn, I don't know, I just felt it was a more professional. It was a professional platform that I could, and my style is very, very thoughtful as well. And that was like the best platform to try. It was an experiment for me to like try writing on LinkedIn. And so
We double click on LinkedIn.
yeah,
Bit step.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so anyway,
You showed up more on LinkedIn.
yeah. And so then after that, I went for a Gallup strengths coaching course.
Was it deliberate or was it accidental?
It was not to become a coach, actually. It was because I wanted to truly know my strengths. Because I thought, okay, what am I really good at? If I don't know, maybe I can go for this strengths assessment that maybe I can truly understand my strengths, then I know what it is. So I wanted to be a coach because I want to know the ins and outs of my own strength. But after that, I entered the course and I realized that, yeah, actually, wow, this is really enlightening. I got so enlightened about my strengths and I actually started to have more confidence in myself. I also started coaching other people as well, and I had really good feedback. And then that gave me the confidence. Another highlight was then I started to like, okay, I think I have a certain direction. I might want to like do this, right? And when I talked to this mentor of mine, this conversation with mentor, and I told her, I'm thinking of maybe going into personal development training, running workshops or some sort. I didn't know I wanted. And she said, okay, when do you want to do this? Then I said, 3 years. Maybe in 3 years' time, I work in Salesforce for another 3 years. Then I do my own thing. And then she asked me this question. She said, like, why 3 years? I said, because I need 3 years to be competent. Because I don't know anything now. I need to be competent. And then she said, why not 3 months? Oh, so that's the biggest question because that got me to stop to think and question my assumptions, right? Actually, why not 3 months? Why must be 3 years? Or was I giving myself an excuse to like delay this career move? And so that got me to question a lot of things. And it's so funny how things work out. In 3 months, I resigned after that conversation. And then 1 month later, my ex-boss called me to run the exact training for them. And that's how I got my first client. And then that set my momentum after that. That's how I grew from there.
How, when you communicated your desire to leave the company at a point in time, how did your boss back then react to that?
Oh, he was super supportive because I think he really knew that I wanted something else. Because before I considered leaving, I actually asked him, can I do an internal transfer to a training role from pre-sales to training? And I actually went through the interview process and I didn't get it because of lack of experience. So
some things are meant to be.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I didn't get it.
Some things are meant to be.
Yeah, and then
if you have gotten it, things could be different, no?
Correct. And I think I might have been impacted by the restructuring also. Because there's been restructuring.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Think so.
But you have started your company later.
Yes, yeah. For sure.
And I want to double click on that moment when your mentor challenged you from why 3 years to why not 3 months? What specific actions, if you can remember, do you take at a point in time?
So I actually reached out to a few people on LinkedIn actually who are career coaches as well as who did strength-based work. And they're strangers, by the way, and I like show them out for coffee and get to know what they do. So it was almost like one step trying to find out what's their world like. And I think that's what I would advise the listeners as well. Is that when you're trying to some thought about a career direction, is to just make small actions to get you closer to understanding what it is. And that's what I did really. It started with the LinkedIn because I was quite active on LinkedIn really, and getting to ping someone to just ask for a coffee chat.
You're not trying to sell them anything, right?
Yeah, it's just really trying to build a relationship, right? And because I need to get into this new network anyway, I'm going to start knowing people in this new industry. So it's really that. Then it snowballed from there. After that, then I talked to a few career coaches who helped me sort of like structure my move out as well. It's like they were asking me, okay, what do you need in place to make the move? Then I said, okay, financially, I need to be stable as well. So financially, I can't emphasize that enough that financial stability is a big thing to look at. So I also get a financial consultant friend to help me to look at my finances. And what we found was that she gave me the blessings that I think you got like enough cushion to survive for the next like 18 to 24 months. And then that gave me the comfort to say, okay, I can build a business. I got this runway.
Yep.
And I know that if the worst case situation, I can always go back. But at least I have this runway to like play with this buffer. I think there is also like a common advice to say, oh, you need a 6 months buffer of expenses. But I actually beg to differ. I feel like after getting out now, especially to like do your own sideline of business, I feel like it needs to be at least 18 to 24 months to not feel anxiety.
Yeah, it's a couple of things that I wrote down here. I am also a fan of the approach of approaching strangers on LinkedIn. Yeah. In fact, I did that to do some due diligence before I joined my current company.
Oh,
Yeah, and I make sure that I had a good sample size. I think I approached 5. I think 4 said yes to me to a 15 minutes phone call.
yeah.
And surprisingly, they were very nice and very generous. I think one did not respond for whatever reasons, and that's okay. I didn't expect much anyway. But I wanted to ask you, when you got this career coaches that you found on LinkedIn, you got them out for a coffee, how was those chats like? Because it seemed to me that you were trying to learn to become their competitor.
Oh,
Is that a good way to frame it?
it wasn't. I think it was on hindsight, maybe. But we didn't felt that way because when I approached them, it came from the point of like, hey, you know, I'm several steps behind you. So it's like, I'm still thinking, I'm still exploring.
And how were they like? How was the approach to you asking them for a coffee?
Yeah. More for most of it, I mean, I've got other stories to share, but yeah, but for coaches, I feel that coaches are generally they go to this line for a reason. It's very
Giving.
the service. So generally the coaches that I've met have all been more than wonderful and very generous with the information. The other, not to say negative about others, is like there are consultants or like who are more precious with the time. And that's understandably so, because as we grow, our time is more and more precious, and we cannot say yes to so many coffee chats. Right? I think so far I've been quite lucky during that time I was navigating the people that I've approached so far were very generous.
I mean, I've
connect.
In previous chats, in previous lunches we had, I also give you my thoughts about one can view competition differently. Yeah, and I think not everything has to be black or white, meaning either you are a partner or a competitor landscape. So, and I shared with you my view that it's probably healthier to view everyone as potential partners. And I think to build on your own strengths or build your own competitive edge so that you can collaborate, that space to collaborate with different cultures out there. So I think that's my view. So when I used the word competitor just now, I think I was pushing it, right? I mean, that's one lens that we can see.
That's the one,
But it doesn't have to be the way. For all you know, you could come back to them and say, hey, you know, we spoke 2 years back and now I'm looking to do this, I've done this, can we do something together? Right? For all you know, that could benefit everybody, right? So I look at it as an infinite game, meaning 1 + 1 must be more than 2. And you know, it doesn't mean that if I gain, it has to be at your loss.
Loss, correct. It can be a win-win.
So thanks for that. Also, I'll touch on 2 other points, which is we talk about the highlights. Can you share some of the lowlights? Maybe just share one lowlight
Of
like your transition from an corporate employee to entrepreneur.
like,
What's the worst thing so far?
after I got my healing from my therapy, actually that was my lowest. When I got to the business from there to finding the next direction, it was actually quite energizing because there was the goal that was pulling me already. And for me, I'm very goal driven, so it's like almost like it was really fun and motivating to try to see how I can get that to work. So that the whole journey wasn't low, but I would say there was some uncomfortable. One would be trying to break ground into a new community, right? Because my whole circle was around tech. And if I were going to the L&D space, the coaching, the personal development, right, it's a whole new circle. And so the hardest part was trying to get out of my comfort zone from something I was so familiar with, tech, language, to a new kind of like lingo, a new kind of industry jargon and practitioners. One of the things I did was also going to different networking events and getting to know the who's who around here and trying to like get myself closer to that. And as an introvert, it's hard. It was quite hard for me to go on a networking event and try to like not feel intimidated. But I always think that over time, the practice makes progress, and it becomes like, to me, I'm okay going to a networking event. Yes, I might feel a little uncomfortable, but it's not as much as before. It gets better and better.
As an entrepreneur, I also think getting into or growing beyond or getting beyond a comfort zone, it's also important,
Yeah, totally.
especially when you're in the business of like helping people get beyond the comfort zones.
Yeah.
If you can't do it yourself, if you're not doing it yourself on a regular intended basis, then you may be quite far-fetched from how your clients or your mentees are facing.
Correct, exactly. Yeah.
Right? And when you don't have this personal breakthrough on how to deal with certain discomfort,
Yeah.
then it may make you less effective of a coach in terms of like empathizing with your clients, or even like to give effective tactics and strategies.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think always going beyond comfort zone, I think in my opinion, it's always a necessity.
Yeah.
And I think should be always in the plan.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I knew that you are more of an introvert, and I just wanted to ask you, based on that discomfort you mentioned earlier, breaking into new circles and communities, besides networking events, how else do you conquer this?
So I have this approach which I coach my clients. It's called strengths-based networking strategies. And so because we know that everybody is wired differently, and I know some will be do very well with like a big group networking because they're of because that's trying to call it the woo talent, right? They able to break the ice very easily. So they will do well in that. There are some will take a lot. They won't do so well in big groups. So I would say strengths-based networking strategy is because you need to pick the kind of style of networking. There's no one-size networking there's many types of networking. Like there's big group, but then there's also small group with like a panel discussion, and then like a little like cocktail, drinks after that.
Yeah.
And then there's also like mentor networking. So can be like those going for those like mentor-mentee matching. They will particularly match you with like a
more curated.
Yeah. Yeah. So and also there's those like industry events where they put like not just like a broad-based across industry, but it's very industry-focused kind of networking events as well, where it's more smaller. So you have to like pick and choose where you will feel most comfortable in. And so for me, I know that I don't like to go for those networking events where it's just purely social. Like I want something that's more focused. So I tend to sign up for those events where there is like a panel discussion or a workshop kind of thing. And then I always tend to make very good friends with like the person sitting next to me, because there's a shared interest. And that's my strength, to have that one-to-one conversation with the person beside me. And so that's how I also like advise my clients as well, those who are more introverted, but yeah, very good with like the relator strength, is like go for these like learning kind of networking events, and then like you just talk to the person, just talk to one person beside you.
I know what I'm gonna say next. It sounds like I'm trying to cut the whole into two.
Yeah.
But if I were to make that point of like, imagine there's only two sectors or two segments, introverts and extroverts.
Okay.
Based on your experience so far with clients and even teams, what do you think is the ratio like? Are there more introverts versus extroverts?
I'm hearing more introverts actually, but like 70 to 30%.
Okay.
But I think there's a statistics around, if you do like the MBTI, I think there'll be statistics to say like who is more I, who is more E. But I'm really thinking and I'm sensing networking, generally speaking, when I talk to most people, it's a icky thing. It's a very uncomfortable. No one really likes, if people find it uncomfortable to strike a conversation with someone new. So that's hard.
But I think there are also certain factors, right? That affects this. I think number one, the nature of the job scope.
Yeah.
If you're a bit more external facing kind of role, like sales or marketing, then maybe there's a higher likelihood that you're a bit more extrovert.
Yeah.
But that's a very broad stroke perspective.
Yeah.
And I think could also be a generation thing. Now that we have gone through the time where we work hybrid or remote, then I think folks or younger professionals that have graduated and started working in a remote or hybrid environment, they may not be used to such external facing relations, like those water cooler moments with colleagues in the office, or bump each other along way to the toilet and things like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud, but thanks for that. I want to talk more about what are the other types of expenses that you have to cater for.
Okay, so for sure, upfront, which is the coaching, any courses, upskilling that I do, right, to to excel, to master my craft. So that's also expenses. What else? When I run corporate workshops, there'll be those stationary materials, workshop materials but it's already covered in the package anyway, the pricing. So in a way, service business running very low, right? On expenses. But also I only started to invest in certain things like my office. And
Why? What do you need office?
I know my working style best. And my working style is that I need deep focus work. And I know that at home I can't do that. And I tried co-working also. It doesn't work. I'll get very distracted with things around me. So since I got to my office, it was perfect. I have my post-its all over and do my creative thinking going on, Yeah.
So I think it's a good segue into knowing your own, being aware of your own traits, likes and dislikes, preferences, how you work best. And then it comes down to the strengths, right? So I myself are familiar with several coaches, and I'm also a big advocate of coaching. But what struck me about what you do is this strengths-based approach. Can you share with us more?
There's conventional development and there's the strengths-based development. So the conventional development is what we have been experiencing since when we're going to school, right? When you have a report card, and then you get A's, B's, and C's. What's the report card say? And then when you go home, you go to your parents and you show them a report card and you have a D there. What your parents ask you to do?
Yeah, D is probably bad, right?
Yeah, tuition, right?
Yeah.
To or whatever, right? To make up or to study harder.
Get back first, yeah.
Yeah. I think that, and what's driving that is we need to be well-rounded, right? Trying to aim for all the A's or to make up for our gaps. So that's conventional development. Even in corporate as well, when we have our performance appraisal with our managers, it's always about, okay, you are in a job with certain set of competencies. Are you meeting it? If you're not meeting it, what is the gap? And then you want to close the gap. So that's conventional development. For strengths-based development, it's of a different approach. It's looking at, are you most naturally talented to do? Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to turn your natural talents into world-class, right? And that's where we're striving for high performance and excellence. I think the question we should be asking is, given all the limited time we have, where is the best use of our energy, right? That will give you the most ROI. You want to work on your weaknesses or do you want to work on your strengths? So strengths-based development, when we work with clients, is about knowing what their natural talent is, their natural disposition, what kind of work do they feel most alive by, and they can do things without thinking much. It's with flair, with ease, and try to find roles or environments that value that and try to that they can further develop in.
Some words that struck out for me: energy, feeling alive, flair,
ease.
I don't think these are very common words we hear when people describe about what they do at work, how they feel at their work. And obviously, and also for context, I also took this Certified Strengths test, I think with you, and then you were kind enough to spend some time with me to go through all this. So I've got a flavor of what it does for me. And I think it was very helpful. And I remember I took that time and you were kind enough to spend that time before I started my work at this new company that I'm at now. So I think that was helpful, going into the new organization, the new culture, new workplace, just to better understand what my strengths are and try to find that environment or create an environment that I can excel better in. Not everyone is so lucky because I was entering a new workplace.
Yeah.
So there could be opportunities, right, to create certain things, workflows or certain procedures, right, that I could excel in, or propose certain activities that I could excel in, but not for everyone who's currently in the corporate job, right? And I would come back to your clients and the groups that you've talked to so far. What are some of the common patterns or limiting beliefs that you find that they have?
Yeah, most of my clients are stuck, and they're just not happy where they are, but they want to do something different. So that's the kind of client that I interact. People who are looking for a drastic shift or a clear direction. The main limiting belief I see is that it's simply fear of failure. They have an idea of what they want, but they're scared of the uncertainty. Naturally, we can't predict the future, and so there's a fear of making the wrong decision. And because of that fear of making the wrong decision, they end up not making a decision.
Yep.
And just staying put.
Yep.
And then and there's a cost of also staying put, right? You can stay put and continue to do what you're doing. And do you rather tolerate something? Are you trying to tolerate something, or do you want to go into something where you take a bit of risk, but the upside is, it's going to lead you to a better ideal place. So this is where, and actually, bear in mind, people already, if you already tune into yourself, right, usually you deep down and have the self-awareness, you deep down already know what you want. Yeah, but sometimes we need other people, external validation, right, or more supporting points to sort of like, hey, this is the right direction, like this is the way to go, to help give you that courage to go for what you want.
I'm smiling because fear of failure, hence fear of failure and fear of making the wrong decision, and hence you don't make decision. That's such a corporate thing, right? Like when you talk about bidding for contracts, for example, some of these clients, they don't end up making a decision because they're scared that to make that decision, that will be wrong for the company.
Yeah.
And then they get impacted, right? Because of wrong decision.
Right.
So
not doing nothing. Yeah.
So for them, doing nothing is safer than doing something.
Yeah.
So I was smiling to that. And for those of these people who are feeling stuck or burnout, or they feel like they're lost, and sometimes they're buried under so much obligation, or all these feelings of being burnout and lost, what do you say to them? How do you help them to reconnect with their strengths? How do you remind them to think about their strengths?
When I do a proper engagement with my clients, you always start with the strengths first. So typically, I would get them to tell me 2 stories, peak experiences in your life or in your career where you felt very proud of and you felt truly most fulfilled. And and the reason why I start with that is because when you're feeling stuck, you're almost forgetting all these times when you were thriving. And that's on purpose, because I'm getting them to reconnect with what makes them come alive and reconnect with that memory. And at the same time, I'm also getting them to shift the energy state, right? From stuck to to a state of positive feelings again. And then I really go deep into that as well, to as they tell me the stories, I'm asking more. I'm getting them to dig deeper into that, right? On what do you do? What parts were fulfilling for you? And through this conversation, then the insights start to shape up, right? Like, what are the patterns of when do you come alive? When were you really good at something? What kind of environment were you best? Were you best in a team? Were you best with a super good manager? Were you best with we're doing creative work? So it's finding the patterns in your peak experiences, and then using that as sort of a compass, right? To help guide on your next career step. Or it almost tells you a filter of oh, I'm missing these ingredients. Oh, that's why I'm stuck. So some people sometimes don't know why they're stuck. And by doing that, they sort of get insights. Oh, so this is why, because I didn't get that freedom to do this piece of work. I was being micromanaged, right? So it's shifting them to a more positive place, which is reconnecting to the positive memory of strengths or when they were at their best.
Play to win,
But
not to not lose. There are some people, the strategy at work is I want to defend.
Yeah.
I want to not lose.
Yeah.
But they don't think about how can I excel, how can I do better, how can I play to win.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
They defend all the time, but they don't think about how can they flourish and excel.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you are doing with them is to get them to think about, recall experiences where they're done well, they excel, they felt happy, they felt they make an impact, and shift their mindset towards that positive zone.
Correct. Yeah. And get them into that and go deep and unravel that particular moment or experience in detail. It's so important, because sometimes at first when I talk to clients, they will say, oh, they tell me 2 sentences about a time. I was like, no, you can't give me 2 sentences. You got to give me more than that. So it's really going deep into this and finding the patterns, right? Because all our lives since childhood, there were times that we came alive. Then we want to be able to spot the trends, right, and the patterns. And I want to just share with people what strengths is, how to discover your strengths. Is really exercise of pattern recognition. Because you have 30, 40 years of experience already, lived experience. There's so many data points that you had in your life. knowing your strengths is actually, it's already within you already. You just need to notice. But when we're busy working, we're focusing on the job, the things that we need to do. We don't stop to think about how we feel about the work,
Yep.
right? So strength discovery is simply the skill, right, that you're building to, and the muscle you're building to notice what's good about you and notice like the patterns, right, where you thrive. Yeah.
For those who are looking for a career change or currently at a crossroads, where should they start? What's a first question that they should ask themselves?
I would always start with why. So why do you want to change first? Because are you trying to, is it a knee-jerk reaction because you had a bad boss and then you're trying to escape? Alright, then you may not need like a significant career change. So it's knowing why you want to change, or do you want to, or are you at a different season of your life now where you're looking for more freedom, right? You want more autonomy of your time and freedom. You want to live life on your own terms. On your own terms. So it's knowing why you want to change. And because when you know your why, you can understand why you would make a big decision. Like, and then the second question will be then like, okay, then be like, what do you want? And what is that path of thriving that I can go? Where is the path that I can have the most leverage, right? My strengths.
Yep.
So start with why first, then the path.
Yeah, I think in the interest of time, I want to jump to the next segment, which is what I'm quite keen in, which is about AI. I know it's a buzzword these days, but after trying out, and also for context, I paid for a paid account for ChatGPT. I'm using quite often. And there's also an enterprise version of Copilot that I'm using at work that I can really see the impact and also the potential. And I'll start with you, right? Like, well, what AI tools, if any, you're using in your business or even your coaching practice?
I use ChatGPT most, actually 100% of the time. I tried to use Claude at first because I've heard that Claude writes more naturally. But because I tend to use ChatGPT because it knows me so well. It's like I've put in a lot of things and I so much changes about it, not just about work, but for like personal stuff as well and my personal interests and all that. So it really, really knows me. So it almost like it's just much easier I get more informed responses because whatever I feed in, it can give, it has a lens of who am I already.
Yep.
So how I use ChatGPT for my business specifically is mostly two areas: content creation, not to write my posts actually, it's more for like ideas. And why I feel like a strong stance of like writing on ChatGPT, because for me, writing is it's a creative expression. So it's something I don't want to outsource. So it's more like it would give me inspiration and I will use that to like write a post about it. So it's more like content creation, marketing ideas, just about my marketing. The other way I use ChatGPT is just a sounding board. So it's almost like my business strategy coach, almost, right? Like help me generate like lead gen strategies for the next 3 months. What am I missing? Based on my strategy now, what could I be doing differently that others are doing, I'm not doing? You know, if they're kind of like a sounding board.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you think about this rapid rise of AI? How do you think this would impact your clients and the work that you do? Do you think you can be outsourced? Do you think your job as a career coach could be eliminated because of AI? Do you think people will now rather chat with ChatGPT to get career advice, get career coaching versus you? How do you think this rise of AI can actually impact your clients and the work that you do?
I don't see it as a complementary, but not a replacement of ChatGPT can complement the human coach, but it cannot replace the human coach. At least from my work perspective, I do know for a fact that my clients and even like people I talk to as well who just have a chat with me, they who are especially like in a career crossroads, they're really using AI a lot to make sense of their situation. And it can be a coach as well, because if you ask it to ask me, so let's say you prompt GPT to say, ask me questions one at a time and I'll respond, and coach me through a career transition, which can work pretty well. I've tried it myself. So I don't deny that it doesn't work. But I think it only works to a certain extent in how well you know yourself as well. So how I use it for my work is that I encourage clients to use ChatGPT to use it to ideate like pathways for their career. So let's say I'm a business development manager, right? I want to make a career switch towards, like, let's say, customer success, for example, I will ask ChatGPT, okay, how can I map different pathways that can help me get there? For example, or using my skills in negotiation, what are the pathways that I can, job roles that I can take on that will use this skill? So it can help you ideate pathways that you may not have exposed to. So I think it's good. But I think nothing can replace self-awareness lah. You need to do the thinking for yourself. And ChatGPT can ask you the questions, but you have to do the work to self-reflect. And sometimes it takes a human touch to sort of like get that out of you through that self-discovery, and help be that mirror for you lah.
Well, we'll close this conversation, unfortunately, because of time.
Yeah.
But we can always do a part 2. And I think this is more of a lightning round. First question is, what's one piece of conventional career advice that you completely disagree on?
I would say the conventional belief that I had initially when I was working in corporate is that if my good work will speak for itself, as long as I do the good work, people will notice, right? Good work will speak for itself. And over the years, I've already come to realize that good work can speak, but you need to advocate for yourself as well. Good work is a given. You need to do good work. But no one will know. It's hard for people to like notice you and get visible unless you learn how to advocate and be very intentional about how you brand yourself, right? It comes down to personal branding and finding the right opportunities, the high visibility to scale so that more people can know your good work. I would say that, right?
Yeah. Especially in corporate, right? Where you can get drawn up by so many of you in the corporate world.
Correct. And I think everybody is also very busy to notice also.
Yeah.
So you sort of like have to do the work, the extra work to like make it easier for people to notice you. You notice the good work that you're doing. Because everyone's busy doing their own thing.
If you could have a billboard with any message you want to broadcast, what would it be?
Oh, it's our motto in the Strengths Code is play to your strengths and work feels like play.
Say that again.
Play to your strengths and work feels like play. Yeah.
Serious.
With
And maybe to round up, how do you define success today? And how do you think that has changed over the years?
earlier on, to me, success now means to be able to like grow, right? To progress. Earlier on, progression means to be promoted. It means if I'm promoted, it means I'm growing. It means I'm like progressing. Right? Every 3 years, every 2 years, I'm promoting. Or if I'm getting a pay raise, I'm getting more money, it means there's progress. So all these are like external markers and indicators that tell me that I'm progressing. So that was how I saw success initially. Now I see success as my time. And to me, that means I am able to use my time to do the things that's important to me. And as long as I have that kind of freedom of time, use time the way I want it to be, that's success. Yeah. So it's less monetary, but more time. But I mean, that's it. I don't deny that in the initial parts of building a career, the money part was important, right? To build that financial
Safety net,
stability.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's compared to where we are at now. But I mean, this new season where I've built that base and now, things have shifted. And money is not first priority for me now. And now it's tight.
We have to go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's been a joy. I mean, I wish we can go on, but we can do a part 2. And I can't thank you enough for spending time with us.
No, I really enjoyed it.
It's too short.
Yeah, too short.
That's the only thing.
Time flies, right?
Yeah. The shitty part of this is too short. So thank you for your time.
Yeah.
We speak soon.
Yeah.
But before I let you go, where can audience find you?
Oh, you can find me on LinkedIn, Shuyi Goh, or you can go to my website, thestrengthsco.com.
Okay, I'll say it again, thestrengthsco.com.
Yeah, correct.
Because if you go to the wrong website, it'll bring you to a gym.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
So thestrengthsco.com. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for this. We see you in the next one.
Okay, thanks.